Listen, I hope you're watching this if you're thinking about selling a piece of commercial real estate. So the reason why is because you want to do your homework, okay? You want to do your due diligence. There's a common phrase, right, in what we do. You really want to dig in deeply before you make a selection on who's going to handle this commercial sale for you. This is a lot to talk about, so I think I'll probably break this into two separate videos. We'll do a part 1 and a part 2. Let's get started on part 1 right now on the 10 steps to sell your commercial property. So let's talk about what this means so I can get you guys prepped for this. First, when we go into a commercial listing, okay, what's the key thing that I'm going in there? Okay, I better be ears wide open. I better be able to understand what is my client's objective. First and foremost, I need to get this. Why? Because that's my job. My job is to meet my client's objective. It's interesting, you guys, because sometimes when we go in, we may think we're going in to go get a listing, go get the paperwork signed, to go sell this piece of commercial real estate, but we walk out and that's not what we did, because I spent a lot of my time counseling people, okay, providing guidance. I'm the expert, right? You're bringing in the expert to give you guidance. It's my job to show our clients options. These are the options. Here's what you can think about, client. Should you sell your property? Should you lease your property? Should you cash out and sell it, or should we sell it on a contract for deed or a land contract and create an income stream? Maybe we don't sell it right now. Maybe now's not the right time, and we should really take care of that leaking roof before we sell it, because we will be able to recapture those costs. That's my job. My job is to understand what are we trying to achieve here for the client. In fact, you guys, there's times when I will advise a client not to sell their property. In fact, it happens more than you might think, quite honestly. Sometimes we might be dealing with an estate situation, and it's actually much better for the estate to wait. There might be a death or a passing, a demise in the family that creates a new basis, cost basis, for the real estate, and it has a huge impact on the taxable consequences. Now, that's just one example. There's lots of examples out there. So first and foremost, the first step in understanding our job is to understand my client's objective, lay out the options for them. Number 2, I move on now to understanding the asset itself, right? I've got usually a piece of land, it's got an improvement, it's got the building on it. I need to understand everything about it. There's a lot of digging we need to do. Now, fortunately, we're data people, right? We're research and data people. So before we walk into the appointment and meet the person for the first time, it's not uncommon that I know a lot of facts about their property that they don't know. Okay, I know when they bought it, I know what their mortgage is, I know how much they paid for it. I likely know when they pulled permits and when were roofs done, all kinds of things. I know traffic count and zoning, you name it. We're going in there, we have a pretty good understanding of the asset. This is critical. We're not going in to discover this for the first time most of the time. We're going in pretty well armed, knowing what we're up against, if you're good at what you do. So the same thing when it comes to the properties. We can walk in and say, oh goodness, we only have street parking? Listen, the comprehensive plan just changed for zoning on this, and so the use that we have today, that's not going to be flying in 5 years. There's all kinds of situations that we must understand before we move on to the next steps of these 10 steps to sell your commercial property. So diving in deep to understand the asset is critical. Part of that process, step number 3, you guys, is the valuation, right? Commercial investment brokers were expected to be experts at valuing commercial property. The main thing I want you to know is when we take a look at a piece of commercial real estate, we're typically looking at 2 valuation methods on this. We're looking at a market value and an income value. Okay, so I have to go down 2 separate paths and reconcile those paths to come up with what I think is a reasonable market value. And then many times there we're giving a range. And that range oftentimes, by the way, will deal very much with my seller's motivation. I have sellers, let's say a bank. Okay, we work with banks and lenders and sell their properties for them. Sometimes we sell for municipalities, for cities, and they go, I want to get rid of this. We want to get rid of it within the next 6 months. Or just the opposite. Listen, Mark, I'm cool with hanging on to this for 3 years. I'm not in a big hurry. Well, that means I can take my pricing strategy and adjust it accordingly. So listen, it's so interesting, you guys. Sometimes I'll go into a listing appointment and they'll say to me, Mark, I met with 2 brokers and they won't give me a value. they don't know how to value the asset. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They're guessing. Now you have to tap into really rich data sources, and you have to know what you're doing. And when we do that, we can come up with value. Now, are there times when we might be dealing with a piece of land? And can it be really challenging to value that land? Yes, but I'll tell you what, there's very few buildings that we can look at and we can come up with a very tight value. When it comes to investment, I don't want to say it's easy, but investment analysis is rather cut and dry. Once you know what you're doing against potential gross income and backing out vacancies and reserves and getting to your effective gross income and backing out your expenses and getting to your NOI and putting a cap rate on it, right? I can rattle that off pretty quick because we do it every day. But that is a little bit more black and white to get to those numbers. So valuation of the asset, absolutely essential. Whoever you're hiring, that's why you want to get a specialist. That's why you want to make sure whoever's doing this for you, they're doing this every day. That there isn't a whole lot of guesswork in this, okay? This shouldn't be guesswork at all. Okay, so now guys, listen, there's kind of these next two pieces kind of blend together a little bit. The positioning and the packaging. I'm gonna go to the positioning, step number 4. It's the positioning of the asset. So now what am I doing? All right, I understand what's going on with my client, I understand the property, I understand the value. Now my brain starts thinking about, how am I going to bring this to the market? How am I going to position it? All right, that's a really important piece of this. I can't really get to my positioning before I get to some of these other aspects, right? I need to understand what my zoning is. Is there a value add play? Do I have below market rents? So does that mean that the pro forma is critically important as you look at the pro forma of where the rents are going to understand the return on investment versus what we're actually dealing with today, what we need to underwrite to, right? How am I going to position this mixed use building that has got, you know, the restaurant downstairs, 3 apartments up with 10 parking spots down below in a neighborhood that's going through some redevelopment right now, okay? And again, we play with so many different types of properties that our positioning is all over the place. And it takes some real thinking. So you gotta think through, how are you positioning this asset? Is it office? Is it retail? Is it community center? There's a lot to think about. Zoning, obviously, you hear me talk about zoning so much, you guys, for good reason, because it is a critical element here, and it plays a big part as we're positioning an asset as well. Packaging. Okay, so packaging. So we're on probably maybe step number 5 here, so we're halfway through. The packaging, this is what we do really, really well at Results Commercial. Why? Well, we're marketers. Okay, our skill sets are kind of twofold. We're marketing experts, we're real estate experts. That's why we are such a good seller broker, because we have to take the asset, get it ready to take it to market to maximize the equity. We need to know how to package it up. We don't do this haphazardly. It's not a fast little sloppy process. You don't sign documents, throw up a sign in front of the building and go, well, let's see who comes to buy this building. Oh goodness, no. There's a whole lot to it. We're putting together very detailed packages. What does that mean? Offering memorandum. Offering memorandum is like a marketing brochure on steroids, okay? That OM, offering memorandum, it should have all the details in it, okay? It should make my job really super duper easy, because there's the OM, there's all the information you need to know about the property, the statistics about the property, the year built, finished square footage, gross building square footage, what's the zoning, what's the traffic counts, all right? Just all of these details are in the offering memorandum. It's also our job to take and package this up in a way, well, it shows it in its best light. That's my job, right? Ideally, good pictures, good video, great social media, all of it. Why? Well, when we take it to market, we want to show this off to get the most money for our clients, for our sellers. That's what we want to do. So the packaging of the asset becomes really important. So listen, there's part 1. Let's move into part 2 next, but I hope this is a good start for you guys on the 10 steps to sell your commercial property.